Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the funeral of a friend. A friend who is much loved, a friend who has now turned disloyal. The funeral of NRL Fantasy, hosted by All Out NRL Fantasy Podcast. I would now like to invite Cooper Bentley to share some words of wisdom.
Thank you. Gather round, mourners, come one, come all. For today we lament with spirits small. NRL Fantasy, once a realm of dreams, now lies in shambles, torn at the seams. Injuries aplenty, stars laid low. Fantasy hopes dashed with each cruel blow. In the face of defeat, we'll proudly stand with passion and courage, hand in hand. For in Fantasy's demise, we'll find the stars. And just a reminder, up the wires, baby. Thank you.
Well said, Benson. You know, the show must go on, but thank you for those words.
No worries, mate.
Look, welcome back to another episode of the All Out NRL Fantasy Podcast. And as you can tell from that mood, we are in mourning. I'm sure everyone has heard the news over the last 24, 48 hours, Bence, that
Everyone's injured.
everyone is injured. And I have the list right here. Sorensen, 4 weeks. Cleary, 2 to 4 weeks. Moses, 8 to 10 weeks, which is now 12 weeks, apparently. Sandon Smith, 4 weeks. Tino, season. Haas, 4 weeks. Walsh, 4 weeks. Cartwright, 4 to 6. Collins, 2 to 4. Cotter, who has been named.
Thank the Lord for that.
Murray has been named, but limped off at training. We don't really know the extent there. And Pierre Cora's dead as well. So it's shambles.
If you're fielding a full team this week, like, wow.
Congratulations.
You
You've
have
done
made
well.
some right moves.
You
this
have
year.
done well. Mate, let's quickly go through a few scores from last week because there's some guys here that are going to be interesting options for us as well this week. One thing I'm going to be doing this week in my own team is captaining Terrell May, the gun.
Captaining him
I'm going to captain him. He's going to get 60 points apparently, and I think in the funeral week it's the perfect way to do
against the Panthers?
Yeah.
Wow, big call. I'm looking
Thursday
at
night.
Zay, yo. I'm just going to get a guaranteed 60 and move on with my life.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm going May purely because Thursday night game, I reckon he can get through 60 minutes of work, 60 points. PPM beast, so that's the way I'm going to be looking
don't
at
blame
things.
him starting. He's gonna cook.
And it's the week of mourning, so if it happens and it comes Thursday night and he fails, I'll just continue the morning. So
This week is just that time where you put that gamble on that captain who you've wanted to cook. You know, you want to watch them have a great game. Why not just put it on?
I'm just
May?
risking it for the biscuit, man.
Exactly. It could pay off.
Well, speaking of the Roosters and the Panthers on Thursday night, a few injury concerns for the Roosters, which is why I think May will get those 60 minutes. Collins is out, and also Wong isn't named. We were sort of hoping he was going to be named for all-out purposes, but no go.
I think a lot of people are just going to be stuck holding Wong just because everyone else is a sell first.
Yeah.
But it is a shame that he's not coming back in. I hope in the next few weeks, if there's more injuries, at the track rate that it's going right now, he might be back in a few weeks.
One man who has been cooking Bents this week and previous weeks has been James Tedesco. We passed him at the start of the season, but he's been cooking.
Yeah, I do recall myself comparing him and Reece Walsh and saying, wow, it is crazy that Tedesco had such a low ownership, and he has really proven it. He is back with a bang.
And he's still only in 6%, so he's a pod.
He's still a pod, and I am bringing him into my team this week just because my wing fullbacks are shit.
Yeah, fair. And for the Panthers, obviously the big news of Nathan Cleary is out, which means Brad Schneider, Raiders Schneider, gets
2
to go.
years ago, everyone and their dog had him in their team at like 250k.
Well, if you're still listening after that funeral talk,
they might have clicked off.
they
the
might have
video
clicked
now.
off. We don't know. When we actually came first, we had Brad Snyder starting for us, so we might have to bring him back as a good omen.
Yeah,
for the
but
Panthers.
on a real note, 468k. He's such an awkward price point, isn't he?
He is, especially when you have Fine Fukuyaki in there, in around the mix. That we'll get to the Eels halfback now, who's going to replace Moses in Blaze Tulangi. He's also cheap and looks the goods. So.
Yeah, there's a few alright options this week, but looking at Schneider's stats for the Raiders, he actually averaged around that 40 point, and his kick meters weren't that high. So I can imagine if he's getting some kick meters for the Panthers and obviously playing for a better team, he could average 45 or above. But once again, at that price point, And just like the so little time that he has, I probably won't be getting him just yet, but I will be keeping tabs on him.
Fair enough. Rabbits Dogs, mate. Damien Cook looks to be back for 80 minutes, so good news for his owners. And one I said in the wrap up, the Cam Murray is named, but could have some issues.
Question marks there.
Come Friday, Thursday afternoon. So just watch there. One of our guys, Bence, that did elite last week,
Special
Jacob
game.
Perez. He is back.
He's finally showing the value that we saw in him at the start of the year. We nearly gave up on him after last week, to be fair. But wow, 96 points. What a game.
Well, he had that. He got shifted to the wing one game, and then he had like 20 demerits in another. So it's only right that he got 86 or whatever he got. So good on Carraz.
And I wouldn't blame anyone for bringing him in this week either. That center wing fullback and that low break even. Hopefully, if he continues to perform, break even of 14 according to this site, and only ownership of 4.36. He's definitely not a bad option to get in.
One of the man that's in the Broncos team that is also not playing, Pierre Cora. I reckon that was the most frustrating 80 minutes of my life watching Pierre Cora last week.
He was in that centers role. What can he do?
He was in the centers. I reckon he made 8 tackles at halftime and ran the ball once.
Yeah, he made that clutch line break at the end of the game, which gave him a boost. He was on nothing before that.
Yeah, that was very clutch. Corey Oates is back. MPH will be happy with that one. I wouldn't be picking him up.
Oh God, no.
Did you see someone barracking him for his speed the other week? He's just like he's not fast anymore, and it brings me back.
Everyone's
to that TikTok.
seen that TikTok edit where they're talking about his speed, and then
he's not as fast as he did 5 years ago.
But he's on the 17, so he could come in like the forward pack or something. But yeah, once again, avoid it. Jaden Hunt. He'll be in for 1 week.
Yeah, you looking at Tristan Saylor at all, or just wait and see? Too pricey, I think. $550K.
Yeah, way too pricey for me. But I really like him as a player. So I'm keen as a Broncos fan just to see how he goes. But fantasy wise, I would be staying away.
We were talking about Fino Fukuyaki. Scored 40 last week.
Great game.
Despite going off for that HIA, so he could get a 50-point player. I think he played 80 minutes if he didn't go off for that HIA. So
it's going to be tough for coaches to bring in any cheapies this week if Cleary's a sell and obviously everyone else that's injured. So it might be hard to get players like Fino Fukuyaki.
Yep, absolutely. And not much else to report other than Cotter is
named.
Thank the Lord for all our team because we were in some strife. Absolutely. And a bit of Supercoach talk here. Drinky was elite. Did you have him on?
I have Drinky on my fantasy team. He was a bit of a lackluster start to the year, despite scoring the Cowboys scoring heaps of points. He was just not getting that involved. But last game finally got that try, 56 points, and glad I've held on to him. I think he's going to keep cooking.
Yeah, and for the Seagulls and Dragons, good to see Flano scored last week. Otherwise, we were in some serious trouble again.
Fantastic game from Flano.
Just a preface for the all-out team at the moment. We are 22,000th. If we didn't stuff up our loop, we would be in the top 10K.
That's very unlike us.
It's very unlike us, but some things cool and some things happen. So
I'm glad we got Strangers 12. What did you get? 12?
And Keeney 18. So we got Shand in play. So we got 30 points in combined 3 points.
Diabolical to say the
It's
least.
awful. Tommy Eisenhuth has edged out Jack DeBellin for that lock spot, so he's sort of an interesting option, but he's also that 500k mark again. Which
he's
is
interesting for a reason. He's
interesting, yeah. And he plays for the Dragons, so they could get smashed next weekend. Everything could go to shit. So Ben Travojevic keeps his spot. What's your thoughts on him, mate? He was pretty average last week.
Stinky. He was look at those centers this week, man. Oh, my therapist. I had to just lay it all on him, having Burbo and Strange in my centers. It was a tough chat.
I exhausted all my therapy after round 1.
Exactly. It's tough, man. But to be fair, he's got that starting role still in the second row. Obviously, if you got him, he's not a sell because he's just so cheap still. But it's just a big get another center in when you can, really.
And who's your pick, I guess, for this week? Are you sticking with Galvin? We'll obviously get to Tigers as well. But I think there was a lot of debate whether to go Flano or Galvin in that other halves position.
Galvin for sure. Galvin has been sensational to start the year. He got 60 last game as well, just hands on the ball everywhere. And the Tigers are back.
They are back. Well, they've ruined my multi horrendously.
Yeah, I saw a post. They're coming 9th right now, but they're tied points with 2nd. So they're pretty much coming 2nd.
They're pretty much coming. That's a great way to think of it.
Exactly.
The Titans, well, big news for our fantasy team. Keeney's been dropped, but Campbell is back. So I think he's just a bit of a wait and see for the first week that he's back. 459k.
Yeah, he is. I don't we were gonna get him at the start of the year. But yeah, once again, wait and see, especially with how poor the Titans have been. Keeney he was just terrible, really.
He just had to get his hands on the footy, and
He-
I feel like he's just like a tad too small as well.
Yeah.
So-
It was a shame because he was so cheap and he made no money.
Yeah, it
So,
sucks.
oh well.
Well, that's the fantasy game. That's why we love it. And for the Finns, coming off the bye, Katoa keeps his spot over Sauce. Still no Tessie New for me. What are you doing, Wayne? And Max Plath has been an interesting option. Apparently, Bennett loves him, like really loves him. So
I haven't been watching many of the Dolphins games, to be honest, but 517K, I wouldn't get him in.
you wouldn't?
But he did get a
0.2%. That's a
he got a
bot.
49. So I mean, his minutes are average as well. So, but yeah, I just wouldn't be getting him. Interesting that he's in the half position on fantasy.
Yeah. Warriors Knights, mate. Kai Pierce-Paul. I know people in the chat were touching on him. He's going to be playing 80 minutes, looks like it, and I'm fairly sure he got 61 or 62 points last week. He seems like a very good pot option, but again, 549K, just in that little bit of an iffy sort of price.
I honestly don't mind him at all because the first game he played 40 minutes off the bench and got 34, and finally got that 80-minute roll and got 40, which is like okay. And then another game he got 61, so it's like looks like he's definitely got that potential to average around that 45 to 50 point, and at 549K, I think he does have a bit of upside to him. But yeah, once again, just a bit of an awkward price point, and once again, if you're selling Clearys and whatever, you're gonna have so much money that you're probably gonna look past these guys and just get two guns.
I know, yeah. Well, it sort of shapes them up. I sort of like Cleary being injured because now everyone's team's going to be like different.
Exactly.
So this is like
good.
when the boys become the men in their decision making.
Exactly. This is when the gambles, you got to take those gambles and double down.
For the Waz though, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is going to be playing fullback.
Ooh.
Fantastic
game
big
he
news
had.
for us. Big news for us. He got 48 with a try last week. I was getting nervous.
It was only a matter of time. He was playing that roaming centre role.
It's
Apparently.
false. What is a roaming center? He has not
I don't
roamed
know.
once.
It's just it doesn't exist. But they were just trying to make the Wilds feel better. But finally, he's in that fullback position where he belongs, and I'm hoping he cooks because back in the day when he was a fantasy stud at fullback, so we could see him go back to his old ways. Hopefully.
And the man that I said in preseason podcast, and it pays to listen, Tohu Harris, man, he's been
He's a
cooking again.
beast. He just doesn't stop, does he?
He actually doesn't stop, and it's quite impressive. And I'm saying that if you can't get Isaiah Yeo, get Tohu Harris.
Why
this
not?
week. Sharks Raiders, good thing for us in
Did
the
we go
all-out
through
team.
the Knights?
In
Was
the
there anything
Knights,
big? Oh wait,
Kai
we did.
Pierce-Paul.
My bad,
There's not
yeah,
really
go on.
much else, to be honest. Jaden Bradley came back last week, but off the bench isn't very good. Good to see Jackson Hastings, though, blue helmet, get dropped, and they ended up winning.
Special and
Surprise,
Ponga
surprise.
Hopefully, we'll be back.
Yeah,
Cogger
surprise.
was really good.
He actually got 5 try assists in New South Wales Cup.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, he might be back then.
Yeah. He actually... Beg your pardon, he actually cooked. So
Hopefully we don't see him back. For Ponga owners,
Yeah, for Ponga
obviously I
stakes.
like him as a player, but being a Ponga owner, Cogger is definitely better for him.
Sharks Raiders. Good news if you're a Cam McInnes owner because Finucane, Hunt, Rudolph, and Hemueli is all injured. So
He is gonna cook.
if McInnes gets 80 minutes, he gets 80 points. It's just how it works.
McInnes is that player where if he gets like as many minutes as everyone else, he's probably going to perform the best.
Yeah.
He's just like how Isaiah Yeo is what he used to be pretty much right now.
And for the Raiders, big news for us. Smithies was looking like he might get dropped or move back to the bench for Horsburgh, but he's out-picked Horsburgh. Horsburgh's not even picked.
It's just
So-
interesting to me, but I would be keeping tabs on that. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets brought in late.
Yeah.
Smithies had a bit of a stinker last game,
Oh,
fantasy-wise and also game-wise.
He's got to run the ball more. I love the pivoting motion as a lock, but he just has to run the ball.
Exactly, and once again, he is just a bit of a bus, isn't he? And Ethan Strange was poor.
Yeah, look, he's a rookie trying to make his way in the NRL.
Yeah.
He's going to have some bad games.
Jamal Fogarty, on the other hand, though, he has proven to be an absolute gun this year.
Very good player.
He's one that I think I'll be bringing in this week, just straight swap for Cleary, because
Well,
he's averaging around 58, I think.
If you started with him, I think he was like 600k, something like that. He's now 700k. So
Exactly. So you've already made your money's
you've
worth.
already made it, yeah. And speaking of another Raiders forward is Zach Hosking. He was off the bench last week, still played 60 minutes.
Exactly.
So
pretty much what we expected. And coming off the bench for him, he's just gonna have that extra energy and just he's such a workhorse.
He's
so
actually elite. Eh?
just hold him.
Eels and Tigers on Monday night. And for the Eels, Mitchy Moses is gone, obviously.
Massive shame.
Even though there was, 50-something points last week in the Eels game, it was a shocking fantasy game.
Oh, I think it was only Moses who scored above 50. I think Jake Turbo got 50 as well, but then Moses was 69 or something odd.
If you're a
Everyone
Joey
terrible.
Lussick fan and you brought him in, you're fine. He got 28. He missed a few tackles.
80 minutes is all that really matters.
80 minutes, yeah. If you're looking for excuses, you can just blame points and free running rugby. It was actually good to watch.
It was, and he nearly had that try at the end of the game, which would have been so good.
It would have been good, yeah.
I'm personally upset that I didn't get Appy over him because he was an absolute weapon.
He's been cooking in all formats, Appy, and he's actually carrying this team alongside Galvin.
It's great to see them start performing again. To be honest,
if you don't have a hooker backup and you went Grant, I'd honestly be considering trading Appy in $4,000 this week.
I'm looking the main players I'm looking at this week is Fogarty. I think Fogarty and Appy are my two, and then Tedesco as well. They're I'm getting in 2 guns no matter what this week, and getting one of my bums out.
I think I saw a video from the Casual Athlete, who's a fantasy fella as well, and he said the best way to do it this week is to trade Chan, who's not playing and really basement, and Cleary, and just getting those 2 guns in.
Exactly, yeah.
So
I think everyone still has money from last week selling Payne Haas. I think so many people sold him, and they still got cash on the side too.
So not to worry about Joey Lussick. The man that we were talking about at the start of the pod, Blaze Tulagi, 261k, 42 points on debut in the centres. So much to like there.
He ran over Tom Trbojevic. That was very, very impressive.
I was really hoping Turbo went off for a HIA for my matchup there.
And Blaze Talangi's just got that aura about him. He's just so smooth with it. I think he's going to be a really good player.
Yeah, there's a lot of cooler about him.
Exactly. Dylan Brown next to him, going into halfback. Do we rate?
Yeah, well,
it could be good for him, to be honest.
Brown has got an increased role now, that's for sure. He's going to have to step up.
675k though. Once again,
it'd be a pod option.
It'd be very risky.
It would be a pod option.
Blaze Talangi definitely not a bad option.
Yeah, good cash down option if you're not getting those 2 guns most of us will be this week. We sort of touched on the Tigers. Lachlan Galvin has a break even of 17 this week, so absolute must have. And if you don't get him,
finally a good cheapie.
Yeah, and if you don't get him this week, you're screwed.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to be 500k in no time. Just get him. Yeah. If you don't.
And we're talking about getting the 2 guns, this outweighs getting the 2 guns because he could make 60 plus k and so
exactly. And how about Jareem Buller on the weekend scoring 68 points?
Buller, yeah, he is.
Got 2 tries, but wow, what a game.
We sort of said at the start of the year, if the Tigers didn't have the bye, we were going to get him. Just as a pod, he's in 2.4% of teams. He's 550k, so I don't think we will be getting him, but he averages 48.5 already this year.
I think everyone has a soft spot for him as well, because last year just everyone had him and everyone was just backing him, especially in that poor team.
Yeah, the Tigers was so bad, and he was
he was just carrying. Yeah. And it's good. It's good to see that he's performing still.
Is there anyone that you look at before we go to the Q&A questions? I'll get them up. Is there anyone that you're really looking at?
I guess just
this week.
I just really want Tedesco in. He's proved this year, proven. He's got great scores every single week and against good teams. He is versing the Panthers this week, but he's showing that he's vintage Teddy. He's back. Him and Fogarty are my 2 main ones, and Appy. Everyone else, I think everyone is going to be bringing in at least 1 gun this week, if not 2. So I'll be bringing probably 2 of those guys in and getting rid of maybe Viliami Fafita or Chan or one of those guys. But yeah, what about you?
The person I'm probably looking at the most, it's really hard because you can really get anyone in the game.
Exactly.
I need a wing fullback, so I'm probably looking at Teddy or Turbo. And I also need a second rower. So
it would be I think everyone would be getting Nicholas Hines this week if he didn't have that bye next week. So everyone be cautious of that because I know everyone will have all this cash to splurge. Don't get Hines. He's got a bye next week. You will regret it with all those injuries that we already have.
That sort of brings me to the first Q&A question. Charlie Goodseller here says, is Cherry Evans a buy? And I'll sort of flip that question and who is the halfback that you're going to be bringing in for your team? Or what's your best option?
Jamal. He just looks like a stud. He's getting all the kick meters. And although one man's strength is another man's, You know what I'm trying to say. I don't know what the quote is. But Ethan Strange has been very quiet next to Fogarty, which has just given Fogarty pretty much all the ball and all the freedom to do whatever he wants. You want to get those players in fantasy where they get all the ball, they're getting all the kick meters, all the try contributions. So it's just looking like Fogarty is such a good option.
I'm looking at SJ personally. He's in
definitely.
He's in 14.2% teams. I was thinking of like a pod option, but there's just no one really striking at me at the moment.
There's just not too many great options. And to answer the original question, Cherry Evans, he's had a very, very lackluster year compared to his previous years.
He's getting old now, Cherry Evans.
And his break even is in the 80s. So like, I would personally not be getting him. Obviously, he could eat, but he's just going to go down in price before he's worth anything. So yeah, I'd be avoiding DCEing, probably going for Fogarty or Johnson instead, to be honest.
Yeah, a lot of questions about SJ. We touched on him. Cleary, yes. Trade, obviously. One about Blaze. Chilungi here, buying him, obviously.
Yeah, definitely a good option. If you can get a cheapie, I guess get him in. But once again, playing that 5'8" role, bit of PTSD with Ethan Strange. So like, I don't know. I won't be getting him, but definitely not a bad option. I'll be waiting and seeing that.
Another question from here, from Bailey. We sort of touched on it, but what's like the priority trades this week? 2 guns. If you haven't got Galvin, are you going Galvin? What are your thoughts on that?
If you don't have Galvin, that's number 1. Get him in. I would, for me, Cleary, because he's missing 4 to 6 weeks and also has Origin.
He's definitely a sell.
He is a sell, so I would put him, up there with the priority list to sell. Obviously, I wouldn't blame you for holding him. It is Nathan Cleary at the end of the day. But yeah, number 1, Galvin. Watch your Clearys. Just get in your guns.
Yeah.
And get rid of your bums.
I think if you don't have Galvin, I would be prioritizing him and like the best gun you could possibly get. Like like someone who knows that's going to get 60 points every week.
And really just take a look at what positions you actually need. There's so many red dots this week. If you need a second row, like look at the buy rounds coming up because the more injuries that come, you just need to really be paying attention to when the buys are so you got that depth.
I'll let you get up the stats for this guy, Reece Robson, because Tynan, I believe his name is here.
He's been doing really well.
Has said, is Reece Robson a buy? I presume you need cover for Grant. I was
say he's
about
a buy.
starting him last year. At the start of the year.
Same, yeah.
We were just worried about his minutes and what Jakey Granville was going to do, but he's been cooking, I think.
Yeah, he's got 52, 54, 54. Awfully consistent. 80 minutes every game. I think he's one of those players, you know what you're going to get. Should average 50 comfortably. But for me personally, I'd be looking at Appy over him. But if you already have him, I don't see Robson as a bad option.
No, neither do I. And look, all the questions are fairly the same around captains, Cleary. Do I delete NRL Fantasy? Well, we saw that thoughts at the start of the podcast. And look, that's pretty much about it. It's very similar questions. Anything else to add, mate, before we switch it up? And we'll move on.
I guess it's just good luck. Try field a full team. I can't this week. I think I'm going to be too short.
If you can field the full team without having the bums like Hughes,
exactly.
Flano, Strange.
Everyone's got 3 Storm players pretty much as well with Pappy, Chan, and
I applaud
Grant.
you. I applaud you.
Yeah, just good luck and just remember it's just a game at the end of the day.
It is just a game at the end of the day.
It'll come back, okay?
And
other than that, I guess gotta plug the hat. Come on. If this hat's fresh.
Yeah, it is fresh. Come on.
If you want to support though, we would appreciate if anyone bought a hat. If obviously you don't need to, but all the stuff we do is for free, but we do love it. If you want to support, go ahead, buy a hat or don't. We don't really mind, but we appreciate all the support every week. It's great.
Agreed. Make sure to subscribe. Follow the Instagram. We are cooking on there, so make sure you follow. And the TikTok, we're close to 10K on TikTok.
Send us a DM if you have any questions. There's plenty of us, so we'll get back to you.
We'll be back on Thursday for Buy, Hold, Sell. Make sure to be there, and we'll see you then.
See everyone. Rest in peace, NRL Fantasy.